What's the best investment that you've ever made in life? A lot of us, we don't really know. I know for me, I had to do some thinking about it, right? And I thought about cars, I thought about houses. Obviously for a car, you could call it a depreciating asset. Some would even call it a liability, but I say it's all dependent on how you use it. For me, that car wasn't a liability, it was an asset because it got me on my path to building wealth. But I think about the houses, I think about everything, but the best investment that I ever made in life was the investment into myself. And the reason why I say that is because for me, if you know anything about my story, I grew up a normal kid. I was no different than anybody else. I grew up a kid that had big dreams, big goals, big ambitions, but I never knew how I was gonna get there. Combined with the fact my dad was never in my life, combined with the fact I had no older brother or sister, my uncle, he always gave me love and support, which I'm super close with my uncle even now to this day, but he never gave me financial literacy. He never told me how to exactly accomplish my dreams. They always just said, hey, if you keep your head on right, you get your head in those books, you can do what everybody else does, the 40-40-40 club, right? I could go to work for 40 years, work for 40 hours a week, and then live on 40% of that paycheck, which wasn't something that I wanted to do. If you look back, if you ask anybody who knows me through my middle school, my high school days, I tried some of everything. Even my college days. I mean, it's funny because now one of the things that a lot of people are getting into is drop shipping and going through Alibaba or AliExpress. And I remember, and my buddy Joe Beal is like, if anybody who knows him, they can remember, he can attest to this. But this was right when I got out of college. He was actually in the military and he was overstationed. He was stationed over in Nepal, India. And I remember I was first looking to get this clothing line off the ground. We were calling the G-Fly, me and one of my homies. We're calling it G5 for Grandeur Fly. And long story short, I wanted these shirts made, but I didn't have any money. So I wound up calling him and I was just telling him the game plan. And this is how the universe just conspires to give you whatever it is that you want. So he was like, man, you know, they actually be making a lot of these clothes and like a lot of the manufacturers are right over here for these t-shirts. I'm like, for real? He's like, yeah, and I walk past him every single day on my way to work. So he actually wound up talking to one of the managers. He kind of negotiated the deal for me. And then I was like, man, but I don't have the money. And he borrowed me the money. And so at this time, I'm just kind of hustling, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? So I had it in my mind, if I could sell these shirts at $30 a pop, if I could sell these hats at $25 a pop, if he loaned me $700 and I said, hey, I'll give you your $700 back plus $250 or $300, right? So I was giving him a return on it as his investment. And so he wound up doing it and I did pay him all back. We're still best friends to this day. So there's no craziness to that story, but that just goes to show you like early on, I mean, I sold Jordans and I was getting them from China and I was flipping them. I was doing so much arbitrage. I sold Kirby vacuums. I was working at a grocery store, you know, pushing carts. I was doing so many different things because I was always trying to find my way. And so for me, when I became 23, 24 years old, at this time I was selling cars, right? And I was crushing it at selling cars and I was brand new to selling cars. I knew nothing about it, but I was crushing it because I knew people and I knew that I had a genuine interest and integrity to be able to help people. So for me, during that time when I was selling cars, this is really where I started to invest into myself. Why? Is because I started to read books, right? And the first book that I read was The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. But the second book that really combined that was Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And what this all taught me is that I was trading my time for money. I couldn't sell a car if I wasn't at the dealership. So I was like, man, well, okay, well, how do I get out of this? And so I started to invest into myself even more. And what that meant is I started to read more books. I started to listen to podcasts. I'll tell you, when I first moved here to Omaha, I got into real estate. I go through that big storm of losing my mom, my job, my home, matter of 2.5, 3 weeks. And I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? Well, I had this real estate license, so I jumped all in. But I'll tell you, the way that I differentiated myself was I knew that in the beginning, the only reason why I got my license, I wasn't looking to be the #1 real estate agent across the country. That was never my goal. My goal was I wanted to be the Lord of my land. I knew what it was like to live under landlords. I knew what it was like, feel like I could get evicted at any moment. But what I didn't know what it was like was to be an owner. I didn't know how to own my mindset. I didn't know how to own my business. I didn't know how to own my real estate. My takeaway from this, and hopefully what you get out of this, is you have to figure out how are you going to turn your dream into a reality. And I can tell you that if you have it in your mind, the universe will conspire to give it to you. It's the 3 E's is what it really comes down to. What's your energy like, right? When you get excited about something, for me, I had to make sure that my energy was good when I was going to my circle and I was saying, hey man, y'all know about real estate investing? Well, you know, you can get tax benefits, you can get cash flow, you can get depreciation on the properties. I was excited and that got them excited, and I'm constantly reading even more. But number two was I had to have a good environment. I had to have people who were not going to kill my dream, because that was going to bring negative energy into my life and I didn't need that. So I needed to make sure that it didn't matter who it was, I needed to be in a good environment that supported me, right? And that celebrated me, not just tolerated me. So number two was that environment. But number three is I had to continue to expose myself to new ways of thinking. I had to continue to expose myself to new ways of life, because that was going to keep me going. That was going to keep me excited. And so for you right now, maybe you're saying, hey, I don't have the expertise. Maybe you're saying, hey, I don't have the money. Maybe you're even saying, I just don't have the environment. But I'll tell you, what you do have is you have a dream, and you have a way to make that dream a reality. But what it's gonna take is you making the biggest investment. And I'm talking about into a coaching program. I'm not talking about into a college degree. What I'm talking about is making the investment into yourself and your mindset. That can come in many ways. Don't think that it has to be one. But if you make that decision and you decide to commit, it either has to work or it has to work. There is no plan B. You're gonna burn the boats and you're gonna go all the way in. I promise you, you'll get everything that you wanted and more. Why? Is because people will feel that energy, they'll feel that passion, and they'll know that you're a winner. And so that's what I could tell you. The biggest investment that you can make is the investment into yourself. That was what I did early on, and I continue to do that every single day. So if you're looking to level up, that's the way you do it. Remember, in the dream we trust, but you gotta take action, because otherwise that dream that you have will only merely be a fantasy. I believe in you, but you gotta believe in you.